So, there's two trades I took today, which I'd like to show you. Okay, which I'd like to show you. So, the first one was on EURUSD, and the second was over here on NAS. So, breaking down again to how I got to the trade, typical Monday morning. You can see here the euro is extremely bearish. Okay, there's nothing bullish about this pair. So I was looking for sales. Something that caught my eye this morning, looking at the trades and how the weekend had set itself up. So this was Friday, finishing off for the week. The week obviously started again last night, and we saw this huge gap. So my first instinct was to look at this gap, and then obviously followed by that was the Asian range. Now, Asian range was just here. So I can put my indicator on. So the Asian range here was coming in just here. So not a lot of movement overnight. We can see there where the range went on. So we come in and we made a high. London session completely exploded. Out of the range, didn't come back. I was here for London. I was looking for price to come down to this area here. Okay, price did not do that. Price was floating around with this sort of area here and then just exploded to the upside. Made a high. Okay, once we made a high, I was looking to see where we obviously come into. Now the aim was to come in to this area here, which is the weekly candle, which was last seen to the last up candle before this big push to the downside. So that's known as our weekly institutional area. Obviously, then we saw here, this was an area that did take out some liquidity. Once it did that, it pushed down to create this low here, taking out this external liquidity in here. Now, it would have obviously created internal liquidity for us to go for, which is obviously what we went and done. This was obviously a target. So this is why we are bearish now. We're on the higher time frames. We're working on what the weekly is doing. Okay, and I'm putting together time and price in this as well. So, one thing I can tell you here, this is our Asian range. London pushed up. I sold all this coming in here. I'll show you how I did it. But this was against overall trend on the lower time frame, but it's with overall trend on the higher time frames. Okay, so this line here represents that weekly area that we showed you on the higher time frame. Price punched into the area and then started selling off quite aggressively. Now, on the 1 hour, that's not a break of structure. For it to be a break of structure, I would have needed price to close in below this area here. Obviously, we're going to be waiting for a while where, it's about patience and things like that. I was on the smaller time frame, seeing what was what. Now, again, 15-minute time frame. A lot of people get confused. This here is not a break of structure. So a lot of people would see that and, oh, brilliant, yeah, break of structure. I'll look into this area here. Great. No, okay, it's not a break of structure. And I'll tell you why. This is the high. This is the low. Now, the reason that's the low and that's the high is because this high was never pushed through. Okay, it cannot be given here as a high. This is a failed high. Whatever happened in here is irrelevant. We are still bullish on this time frame here. Now, where did we end up breaking structure? We go into the 5-minute. We did come below this structure here. Okay, so price came in low, high, low, and new high. Price broke structure here, and a lot of areas got pushed through. Now, this was a valid break of structure to the downside, so I was happy to work with this. Okay, now there's a few things against this trade, and this was more on the risky side. But if you take this range here and measure it, what we can see is that we came to a very special area. 50% of this push down we ended up getting. Now, typically, I'd rather a discount zone of where my red markings are, 71% to 88.6%. They are very popular discount areas where that would be a better area to sell. However, 50% is valid. Okay, it's valid. Now, when it hits 50%, you've got to look at what it's actually hitting before we see a possible reaction. Okay, let's look what's to the side. We've got imbalance here. Not very clear. If I go up to the 15-minute time frame, this is why shopping around these time frames, guys, are so important. Okay, because I went into this time frame here and I noticed this imbalance right here. So once we got the imbalance, we could see we filled imbalance when we hit 50% of our range. Okay, now I can get rid of that for now just to tidy this up a little bit. 50% is just right here, which I've just deleted. We've now got another area to measure, which is our 50, which is our imbalance zone. Sorry, our imbalance zone. Now, I'd like to have seen 50% of the imbalance covered, but even better, the whole of the imbalance is covered. We can go down a little bit lower now, and we can see imbalance has well and truly been covered. That is a logical area for me because it hit the 50% and it reacted off the 50%. As soon as we hit 50%, we can see prices doing what? High, low, failed high, failed low, new high. Okay, new high. I'm going to give this here as a new low because this is now the last down area. Now, what happened? Price came in here. Now, you can wait for this because this, a true range, but I was happy to see price do that. Again, if you're struggling with this, go onto the line charts here. You can kind of see a bit more of what was going on here. We can see the break here. This here is the range, and we broke it. And we came back into it. Now, I didn't just pull the trigger. Okay, I didn't just give the banks permission to take my entry, because what you could have done is taken an entry right here, sold it. Now, what are your targets? Well, my first target is to fill in this gap that was created at the weekend, which I spoke to you about. Okay, now I'm out of this trade, by the way, but I'll show you how I got in. Okay, I was here, I saw this 5-minute break of structure, particularly interested to see what was going to happen inside this imbalance right here. Okay, because we come back up into this area in here. This is my point of interest in here. Came back up. Now, straight away, I've already got it highlighted. What I liked was this up candle because we had a continuation of structure. High, low, high, low. Continuation of a downward trend. You can see here we've broken structure, we've come back in, we've mitigated, we're now traveling down. Okay, now another thing that drew me towards this particular entry was because we were breaking in external liquidity and there's internal liquidity was created here in this little range that you saw. First thing I noticed was this liquidity, and the banks, what do they go for? Liquidity. So the first thing I did, again, you can measure this just for safekeeping. You can see the range is now in our discount level. 71, I think it just about poked above 78.6. Took a sell just, I think it was actually on the 78.6 level. With a 3 pip stop loss. And I took it. There was some imbalance below, but I basically got 10 out of it, 10 to 1. Now I risked 1% on this trade, so that was a 10% gain. Okay, and that was just to go 30 points. That took about 20 minutes, by the way. Okay, because I'm looking for the right thing. I'm looking for a liquidity grab. I'm looking for the candles which can mitigate it back into. And this was a really, really pleasurable trade and a great way to start the New York session. It hadn't even started by this point. I mean, it was just coming into the New York session when it landed into my area and I took my position out. I then took my sights back onto the indices, which I prefer doing over New York. And again, looking at the indices now, where are we? And what are we up to? Okay. We can see here, bullish. Okay. Well, we're not actually. Well, I mean, you could argue technically, you take the line chart here, could be kind of pushing up. Looking at the weekly zones, again, bullish. We've hit into an area. So we can see here now, we're looking for areas to react here. This is the last down candle before the big push up. on our weekly area. Once we did that, you can see that we started pushing above. There was a lovely buy opportunity down here, filling in this imbalance. I was waiting for opportunities to come to this candle. We didn't quite make it. Price pushed all the way up, and we've just been pushing higher and higher since. I feel like we're going aggressively to take out what was aggressively sold off, which is this area here. Moving forward into today, again, you can take the London session. Okay, we come into Asia here. Start of the week, fairly decent trend lines poking forward. This push down was our order block, which also represented some imbalance that was sitting within here. So you could easily just take this area here, use that as your point of interest. Also coming back into where London started this morning. So London open was at 8 o'clock. Price came back in and realistically stole a lot of liquidity. Okay, stole a lot of liquidity. Whatever was happened here, price was a lot of opinions were being formed. A lot of opinions were being formed, and we did have this candle here, which I was originally looking at. Okay, now price didn't come straight down. However, I did get in the market. I did come in, and I was 10% up, so I went for an aggressive entry. If I was nothing on the day, I would not have taken this entry. Okay, because I wanted price to come to my candle. However, I actually respect that once again, what did it do? This is, I'll tell you now, imbalance, guys, is so valuable. Okay, so valuable because price filled imbalance into New York, coming into the New York session. Okay, I can get rid of that now. We know we're in New York session territory. Looking at what kind of happened in here, price pushed higher. Price obviously pushed a little bit higher, came back down to this area here. So price had an aggressive push up, broke above this area here. Big push down, filling imbalance, big push up. You know, where are we looking? Price is fairly balanced here, guys. So I'm not too interested in anything that is not like imbalance or anything like that. This candle got mitigated here. This candle got mitigated. So this big push up left us a nice liquidity void. Okay, nice liquidity void. But even so, if you go onto the 1 minute time frame, what you can see, and again, if you spot it, great. You know, if you want to pause the video and have a look, if you're into smart money trading, liquidity trading, volume trading, whatever you want to fucking call it, I don't know. Have a look at what price did before this high push. Price took out liquidity. Beautiful liquidity grab. All right. Beautiful liquidity grab. So once that happened, that gave me enough permission to get into the market. Now there's a slight downside. There was no imbalance here. I like to get an imbalance entry on top of a candle, but I literally just pulled the trigger for a buy. I think it was about here somewhere. Hang on, where was it? Because I did it off of the pips. I think it was 78 again. Yeah, it's about right. 78%, 10 pips stop loss. Yeah, it was about 10 pips. So, you know, took this trade again, guys, and again, it was another 10 to 1. Just here from above. And I literally came out at 10 to 1. As soon as it come on to 10, I took it out. So that's 20% for the day, based on 2 trades, based in an hour's work. 20% growth on the account, risking 1%. This was more of an aggressive entry because, you know, we could have come a little bit lower, but we filled in this imbalance and we started accumulating, pushing higher, and we had this big push up. This was right on the peak of New York session. Okay, guys, so they're the 2 trades I took today. Did not take any other trades. I couldn't tell you what I'm looking for tomorrow because I take each day as it comes. Okay, I am a day trader. I trade every day. Well, I don't trade every day. I look to trade every day. If the setups aren't there, the setups aren't there. I'm not sitting there waiting for 4 hours for price to, or 4 days for price to get into my zones. I'll trade what I see specific to the time and of how I see it. What do I see happening next on NAS? I mean, as of now, we've come into this back into this 1 hour candle. We're back to the area, kind of where I took the entry. This could push higher. Generally, you know, we've come in, we've filled in this imbalance. Not got a whole lot of reason to come back. We might, a bit of news could bring us back to this 15-minute candle down here, because there will be orders inside there. Realistically, looking at higher time frame, again, there's imbalance down here. At any point, it could just come down and fill out, but I don't see this slowing down anytime soon until we get up to this daily level. Again, I feel like we could even go higher than this daily level, because when you look at the higher time frames, what we can see is that we're reacting on a level after breaking structure. So price could very easily close above this area here, and that's the target. But for now, you know, we're aiming for small targets as and when we can get them. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. I just wanted to show you the two trades. Keep it simple, okay? Trade responsibly, and there will be more videos to come. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and I shall speak to you soon.